Hey guys, welcome back to another part of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 2. It's your boy Karagol Gaming, and you know how we do things around here. So, let's see if we can find traces of Rika-chan and Satoko-chan. Shall we? I saw a ceiling I was familiar with. Oh, we collapsed at the end of last episode. That's what happened. Alright, here we go. Though I was groggy from sleep, I did notice that I was in my futon, like I was every morning. I looked at my clock, and despite having turned in so late last night, I had awoken at precisely the same moment as I always did. I'm so low on sleep, but I guess you really can't get up at the same time every day. That's your internal alarm clock, Pam. The secrets of the human body never cease to amaze me. If I went back to sleep like this, I would definitely not be waking up again. Premonition? I spurred myself on and slipped out of my futon. Mom asked me about last night at breakfast. Apparently we too had gotten a call asking if we knew where Rika-chan and Satoko-chan were, and Mom vaguely understood that something serious was happening.
じゃあ、ゆうべはお友達とみんなで夜遅くまで探してたの?
Exactly, Mama.
3時くらいまでかな。うん。
結局見つかったの? そのリカちゃんとサトコちゃんは。
See, you added Rika-chan and Satoko-chan right there. But most of the time you don't. Crunch. I warily bit into my toast. Ooh, I could go for some toast. It really didn't have any taste. Just then, we heard the chime go ding-dong. I looked up at the clock and saw that it was about 5 minutes past my regular meeting time with Rena. It was her at the door.
おはよう。
Hiyo.
少しは眠れたかな
何時間寝れたんだろうな。多分、鶏の足でも数えられるくらいだと思う。
Rena seemed pretty sleep-deprived as well. There was something missing from her usual spirit.
学校、行くか。
Didn't have that pep in her step.
うん。その方がね、きっといいと思うの。
She said, smiling, albeit stiffly. What the hell is that sound? Rena was probably worrying her heart about those two as well. Even so, she wanted to go to school.
今日をお休みしたら、きっとケイチ君は病んで寝込んじゃうと思う。
Former, yeah, but the latter, absolutely, yeah.
私、そんなの嫌だから。
I wanna be sleeping.
だから、一緒に学校に行こう。
わかった。ちょっと待っててくれ。すぐ支度するから。
I was just a little bit happy about Rena mustering that much consideration for me. We went to the place we would usually meet up with Mion, but she was nowhere to be found. We were a little bit late today, so we thought maybe she would be waiting for us.
みーちゃん、さすがに今日は起きられないかもね。
Or she went ahead.
あ、そうか。あいつにとっては昨日だけじゃないんだよな。一昨日の晩も村長さんを探して徹夜してるんだよな。
We waited for a bit. Time passed until it got to the point where it was okay for us to go on alone, and we exchanged
どうする?
glances.
もう少し待つか?
At that point, my brain, which had finally been woken up by the morning air, recalled the ominous words Oishi-san had left me with last night. The leaders of the three families were disappearing one after the other. And next, it might be the Sonozaki leader. Could Mion have? Nah, that couldn't be.
行こう。今日は寝かせておいてあげようよ。
Rena gave me a pat on the back.
ミオン、本当にいるよな。
何か言ったかな？
あ、いや、独り言。行こうぜ。
The two of us headed to school by ourselves. On the way, we saw a bunch of our classmates accompanied by their parents. It even looked like some of them were being taken to school by car. Surprisingly, the principal was also standing watch at the school gate. I'd never seen that before.
おはようございます。
おはようございます。
The principal was bowing to our classmates' guardians. The wooden sword leaning next to him was a little ominous.
前原くん、おはよう。竜宮くん、おはよ
おはようございます。
う。先生から大切なお話があるから、すぐに教室に入るように。
Classes are canceled today?
いいかね。
Rena and I said nothing. The madness that only existed at night had finally crawled out into the sunlight. That's what it felt like.
Minasan, おはようございます。
The hushed conversation that had been spreading for a while now all disappeared like an illusion the moment our teacher walked in the door. Silence dominated the classroom. The principal came in with our teacher as well. This was clearly not a normal morning.
まず、校長先生から大切なお話があります。校長先生、どうぞ。
The principal cleared his throat and approached the days. The days?
もう知っている生徒もおるだろ
The classroom was dead silent. Everyone was just staring at Rika-chan and Satoko's empty seats. The principal briefly and simply declared that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan had gone missing. There wasn't a single person in the classroom who didn't already know. There seemed to be many, however, who couldn't accept it as truth. It had been conferred to them now by the principal's words. There were sobs throughout the classroom, and I heard a kid crying. They steadily spread throughout the whole classroom. The big-hearted principal wasn't able to keep his cool either.
はい、皆さん注目注目。今日から当分の間、登下校は保護者の方と一緒に行います。保護者の方の都合がつきにくい生徒は、集団での登下校とします。プリントを作りましたので、よく読み、保護者の方にも必ず見せてください。いいですね。
Teacher's voice was a little abrasive. Not even she could conceal the strain she felt from this unprecedented abnormal situation. They should have just canceled school today. However, Rena told me that the school was also like a nursery for students whose parents both worked, so some of them wouldn't want school to be canceled.
では、授業を始めます。委員長はお休みですね。では日直、号令。
So she hasn't called in sick.
起立。
That feeling of wanting to maintain an everyday atmosphere, even if only in school, precisely because our lives had been so messed up, was something that I agreed with at this point. As for the teacher, who always had her lunch in the staff lounge, she ate in the classroom today. I had to laugh at her curry bento. It was just a rumor until now, but there was nobody to laugh with me. Rena brought her chair and lunch over to my seat. Today, it was only the two of us. The fact that we didn't need to drag any other desks over was sad.
眠いね。
ああ
Same.
でももうそんなに気にならなくなったよ。むしろ今寝れるくらいのずぶとい神経が羨ましい。
そうかもね。
I was sleepy this morning, but my drowsiness had dissipated after coming to school and constantly feeling the incredible tension. Rena's bento box didn't have its usual luster either. That was to be expected. Rena was up for a long time last night too. She wouldn't have had time to make her lunch beforehand, since it's not like she would have gotten up early this morning.
遠慮なくつっつけよ。今日は素直に俺の弁当の方が立派なのを認めろ。
じゃあ、遠慮なくいただくね。わあ、しそチーズのちくわ巻きなんて面白いな。
レナのだって今日のはレトルトだろうけどなかなかうまいぞ。
I realized the two of us were desperately trying to brighten the afternoon mood up to its usual levels as much as we could. I looked around the classroom, and it seemed like we were the only ones trying to do so, surrounded as we were by the gloominess.
こうして二人だけでお弁当をつつき合ってると、なんだか、なんだかだよね。
This is very forced, you guys. Our laughter, it grew quieter. I was the first one to mess
ご
up.
めん。悪かった。
いいよ。仕方ないよ。
Our chopsticks both stopped moving. We couldn't keep it up anymore.
リカちゃんとサトコ、どこに行ったんだろうな。
Those words might have sounded too miserable. Everyone was thinking it, using roundabout ways to address the topic, but I came right out and said it. I heard Rena catch her breath.
昨日ね、ケイチくんがいなくなってる間に、いろいろと話を聞いてたから、レナの知ってる限りを話すね。
Shoot.
昨べはすまなかった。頼む。
At that time, since they arrived for support, Rena was helping the Ladies' Society cook the miso soup we had. They reported all of the information the villagers had gathered, and Rena said she overheard
で
it.
も、結局何もわからなかったんだろ。学校が終わってから家に帰って、二人で自転車に乗ってどこかへ行ったらしいということ以外は、全く。
Mion had told me yesterday. We had no clues.
警察の人も、家に帰ってからすぐに自転車で遊びに行ったんだろうって言ってる。家に帰ってからすぐに自転車で遊びに行くところと言ったら、町かもしれないでしょ。だから、沖宮の町でいなくなったんじゃないかって警察は明るくなってから、捜査範囲を沖宮にも広げるって言ってた。
In town. It would make sense why we couldn't find them even though we searched all over Hinamizawa then. Still, something didn't fit. I had no basis for thinking that, just a gut feeling. I revealed something to Rika-chan that was likely very important to her that day. Then, Rika-chan had told me to leave it to her. And then, what did she say? Alright, if she didn't work hard, then something bad might happen to the dog, too, I think. With all the talk of dogs and cats, I still didn't have the faintest idea what she really meant, but it might have been Rika-chan's way of saying this was a race against time. Damn it! Also, if you remember when we found Rika-chan, it was like she had a fight with something or someone. She had like grass all over her and she was a bit ruffled, I think, if I recall correctly. I had selfishly pushed my anxiety on Rika-chan and then tried to run away. When I thought about it, I shouldn't have run back then. I should have asked her more about the dogs and the cats. The more I think back on it, the more I realize I really screwed up. Anyway, I don't think Rika-chan was in a situation where she would just go off to play somewhere. Of course, I didn't have any evidence or conviction to base that on. It was just a hunch.
町なんかに行くわけないと思うんだ。
ケイチ君もそう思う？
She was a bit off, a little worn out.
レナもそう思うよ。リカちゃんもサトコちゃんも、Hinamizawaでいなくなったに違いないの。
The only thing I can think of is either Rika-chan told Satoko-chan what we told Rika-chan, or she was just like collateral. They came for Rika-chan, Satoko was there as well, boom. I looked back at Rena, startled. The thing that surprised me is that Mion hates Satoko-chan that much. Or just... There was a lot of animosity when she said that she was cursed, is what I'm saying. To the point where I don't see how they could really coexist, you know what I mean? I could hear the conviction in those words. Did I just fucking spill? I think I did. I'm an idiot. Without replying to my gaze, she took her bento box and went to the hallway.
お弁当箱を洗ってくるね。
She timed that in a way that broke off the conversation. Suddenly, I got the feeling that the next thing she had to say would be hard to say aloud in the classroom. I hurriedly grabbed my bento box and followed her. Rena did not go to the kitchenette, but rather to the water fountains out back, where students seldom went. The water flowed down onto our bento boxes. During that time, Rena didn't say a word. Then, after making sure there were no other students around, she finally opened her mouth to speak.
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんが街に遊びに行っていなくなったなんて
Is a lie.
なんだか腑に落ちなくて、私なりにいろいろ聞いたり調べたりしたの。
聞いた？何を？
婦人会のおばさんたちにいろいろ。昨日のお味噌汁、お豆腐がいっぱい入ってたでしょ？
The game didn't tell me that, sadly.
富田豆腐店のおばあちゃんも来てたの。
Homita Tofu Shop. I remember. That was one of the stores on the road leading to the hospital. Those huge lumps of tofu dancing in the bathtub like cistern always look so nice and refreshing.
おばあちゃんね、昨日学校の帰り道にさとこちゃんがお店に寄ってお豆腐を買っていったのを覚えてたの。
豆腐？学校の帰り道にだろ？それが何か手がかりになるのか？
いいから聞いて。リカちゃんの家に行った時のこと、覚えてるかな？
Rena stepped away from the sinks and spread her arms wide to recreate the space of Rika-chan's room.
ガス台にお鍋がかけてあって、その中にお味噌汁が入ってたの。中にはお豆腐が、多分、一丁の半分くらい入ってたと思う。残りの半分は冷蔵庫の中にあったの。冷ややっこにするつもりだったんだね。お皿に開けてラップがかけてあった。
As Rena explained, she walked around as if she were really going through Rika-chan's room.
でもレナ、それが何だって言うんだ？
ケイチ君、お味噌汁のお豆腐って本当に最後の最後に入れるんだよ。つまり、お料理してたリカちゃんか、もしくはサトコちゃんは、お夕飯の時間の直前まであそこに立って料理をしていたことになるの。
夕食の時間の直前まで？
Wasn't everyone saying that their bikes weren't around, so they must have gone somewhere to play by themselves?
三角コーナーのゴミを見たら、すごく不吉祥だった。
Why didn't you say any of this last night?
食事やお弁当はほとんどリカちゃんが作ってるんだけど、たまにね、サトコちゃんがすることもあるの。だからその晩は、サトコちゃんがお料理したんだね。
それってつまりサトコに関しては遊びに行かず夕食の準備をしてたってことなのか？
うん。それで私、炊飯釜も見てみたの。炊飯釜には2人分のご飯が炊けていた。
ってことは2人分の夕飯は作ったけど2人とも夕飯は食べなかった、そういうことか？
Rena nodded.
それで次に冷蔵庫の中も見てみたの。そうしたら残り半分のお豆腐で作った冷ややっこがあったの。それだけじゃない。お夕飯用に作ったおかずも何皿かあって、それらにはみんなラップがされていた。
You usually plastic wrap things so that you can have leftovers for the next day. My mom does it all the time too, using them in breakfast or lunch.
そう。ラップって食べ残しとかを取っておくためにするものだよね。冷蔵庫に入れたということは、少なくともその晩のうちには食べないつもりだったということ。
そういうことになるのか？
ケイチ君、もっとよく考えて。お夕飯を全く手つけずでラップしてあったんだよ。どういうことだと思う？
じゃあ夕食を食べる必要がなくなったわけだ。外食とか出前とかで。
Come on, dog.
それも突然にね。前もって決まっていたらお料理なんかしない。そしてお夕食は2人分用意されていた。つまりさとこちゃんは2人で食事ができると本当に直前までそう思って料理をしていたということなの。
じゃあ2人で遊びに行っていなくなったというのは間違いじゃないか？
そう。つまり いなくなったのはお夕飯ができて夕食に至るまでの本当にわずかな時間。多分7時頃くらい。
そんな時間に食事もせずに二人はどこへ行ったんだ？
当然そこに行き着くよね。ケイチ君、覚えてるかな？折りたたみ机が置いてあって、その上にお醤油や箸立てなんかが置いてあったのを。
Yeah, and like salad dressing if I remember correctly. Why do I remember that? I don't know. There might have been something like that, yeah. I didn't remember.
お醤油の小瓶ね。空っぽだったの。もう一滴も入ってなかった。これじゃあ冷ややっこは美味しくないよね。だから私、流しの下にある醤油の大瓶を探してみたの。
よくそんなところにあるって知ってるな。
私もリカちゃんの家に行ってお料理したことあったから。
Rena cleared her throat, her face returning to a serious expression.
でね、流しの下を開けてみたら、醤油の大瓶が瓶ごとなかったの。
Okay.
醤油の大瓶がないとどういう意味になるんだ？
ここから先は全部レナの想像だからね。だから最後まで口を挟まずに聞いていてね。
I can't do that. Let's dissect this shit. Last night, Satoko was making dinner like normal. We don't know that. It might have been Rika-chan as well. Rika-chan usually watched TV until the food was ready, so she was probably lying down watching a variety show or something. Satoko put the tofu in the miso soup, and right when dinner was about to be ready, she noticed that they were out of soy sauce. So Rika-chan, who had nothing to do, brought the big bottle of soy sauce to a neighbor's house to borrow theirs.
俺、ご近所付き合いってよくわからないんだが、醤油なんかって分けてもらえるものなのか？
Rika-chan was adored by damn near everyone, fam. She had no enemies that I know of. At least not publicly. Also, we could verify this information by identifying who the nearest neighbor is and check with them if they had seen them.
うん。Hinamizawaではそんなに珍しいことじゃないよ。
There are a lot of weird shit that ain't too uncommon in Hinamizawa. So Rika-chan rode her bike out to get some soy sauce. No matter how long Satoko-chan waited though, Rika-chan did not come back. So then Satoko-chan called up the house where Rika-chan was going. Would Rika happen to be imposing on you? Something like that. Why not make a call to them first saying, hey, we just realized we're about to serve dinner, we didn't have any soy sauce, do you have any you could spare? Yeah? Okay, Rika-chan's about to come over. Then the other person must have replied with something like this.
うちに食事の用意があるから、さとこちゃんもいらっしゃい。リカちゃんはもう食べてるよって。きっと、そんな感じで呼び出したんだと思う。
Satoko called Rika a few names in private and wrapped up the dinner she had made for them. She put it in the fridge so she could use it for breakfast and lunch the next day. Then, Satoko got on her bike too, and headed for the house where Rika-chan was.
でも、すでにこの時点でおかしいの。食事ってね、突然やってきた人に振る舞えるほど多めに作るものじゃないんだよ。
True. A veteran housewife would never normally make so much food that she could feed 2 extra people.
たまたま偶然作りすぎたことだって考えられるだろう。
それでも絶対に考えられない。
Maybe they were gonna save it for lunch the day after. Rena flatly denied me.
だってリカちゃんはさとこちゃんが頑張って作ったお夕飯がもうできてることを知ってるんだよ。どんなにお夕飯を勧められたってさとこちゃんのお夕飯を無駄にするようなことをするわけがない。
It was only circumstantial evidence and Rena's guesswork. Even so, it was all extremely convincing. It was the only ray of hope we had to topple the situation bereft of clues.
じゃあレナ、リカちゃんはどこへ醤油をもらいに行ったんだ？
That was the heart of it. It would have to be somewhere she would be comfortable with asking for soy sauce, and somewhere Satoko wouldn't think it was suspicious that she had been invited for dinner. So, who was it? Don't tell me the Sonozaki family. Rena slowly shook her head.
レナの推理はここまで。あくまでも想像だからね。警察の人とかには内緒にしておいてね。
What makes you think I would sing for the police? Damn, you know me that well?
隠すことはないんじゃないか。仮に半分しか会ってないとしても、きっとヒントにはなると思うぞ。
Also, her saying that? That's all for Rena's guesses? These are all just ideas, okay? Keep them a secret from the police is very telling. That tells me that it's the Sonozaki family. That's what it tells me.
ケイチ君、これってHinamizawaの人を疑うって意味だよ。確信もないのに村の人を疑えない。
I saw a few girls coming over to rinse out their bento boxes. Rena cut the conversation short and returned to the classroom. I stayed there alone, my body bathed in the lively voices of the cicadas. Let's think about this, in my own way. Rena had barely any information to go on, yet she had reasoned out that much. So there should be something that only I, who knew far more than Rena did, could deduce. Oisha-san said this last night too, but this incident was definitely occurring from within Hinamizawa. Rena might not have wanted to believe it, but it's basically a given that the culprit is someone from the village. The trigger for everything was when the four of us trespassed in the forbidden storehouse. Somebody saw us going in there. Oishi-san was one of them, right? I don't know if he saw us specifically go inside, but he saw the four of us. For the culprits, breaking the taboo was a crime punishable by death. What? I know all that! So that night, Tomitake-san and Takano-san was sacrificed. There were two left. Shion and myself. However, before the culprits bore their fangs on Shion and me, they went after the mayor, to whom Shion had confessed her sin. Next, they went for Rika-chan, to whom I had confessed my sin. Then what about Satoko? Just a stray bullet? By itself, Rika-chan being sacrificed after I had told her everything was mortifying. But Satoko, who was sacrificed for no reason, wasn't that all the more regrettable? Everything was my fault. Who would be the next to disappear? Would it be Shion and me next time? Why weren't the culprits going for Shion and me right away though? If they had enough power to erase the mayor and Rika-chan, then why not just get rid of Shion and me? If they went for us, well, I wouldn't like it, but I could still tolerate it. What I couldn't forgive was them getting rid of those we had confessed to. Now that I think of it, yesterday Shion had said something alarming. She felt like someone was watching her. So then, was someone watching me as well? Strangely though, I hadn't felt anything like that until now. Even though I'm the root cause of everything, I had never once had that impression. Maybe that was simply because Shion was more cautious than me, and I was just being careless. That's another story though. Let's get back on track. Why weren't the culprits going after Shion and me? I felt like that's where the key to this lay. Could it be... Was I making a big assumption that I shouldn't have been making? I thought and thought, but I couldn't come up with an answer. The one thing I understood, however, was that I was a concerned party to this case. That I had a duty to watch over it until everything got resolved. I heard the ring of a bell declaring the end of a lunch break. Would somebody else disappear tonight? If nobody else did, then I wanted them to get rid of me tonight for sure. And then put an end to all of this. Shion's hysterical voice on the phone last night came back to mind. They planned to murder those close to us first, make us as miserable as possible, and only then would they kill us.
前原君、昼休みは終わりであるぞ。教室に戻りなさい。
At the principal's urging, I returned to the classroom, which was quiet as the streets at night. There were a lot of parents picking up their children after school. It was just like a kindergarten. The students whose parents didn't come went home as a group. Good call. We left school with everyone else, following the assigned route. Even while leaving, nobody said anything funny. They all looked like exhausted mountaineers silently marching through the mountains. As we went, one left and then another, and in the end, it was just Rena and me. I was supposed to escort Rena all the way to her house, but she
本
declined.
当にいいのか？一人じゃ不用心だぞ。
レナを送った後、一人で帰るケイチくんだって同じくらい不用心だよ。まだ明るいんだもの。大丈夫。
そうか。じゃあ気をつけてな。
あれ？あれ、警察の人じゃないかな。
Oishi-san is following me? I'm being stalked? Rena pointed towards my house. There was a car stopped in front of it. From out that car came Oishi-san. He must have been waiting for my return to ambush me. Oishi-san started walking over wearing that annoying grin.
レナはもう行きな。あいつに絡まれると長い。
でも、どうして警察の人がケイチくんに用があるんだろう。
Rena is a good person. Debatable. Even when I made a fuss over Rika-chan's disappearance, she never asked me why I did. She could have been suspecting me ever since then, and that would have been okay. Even so, she still hadn't asked me anything. She didn't try and pressure me into revealing the truth.
俺は犯人じゃない。
そんなの知ってるよ。
でも、事件に何の関わりもないとは言い切れない。
Rena simply listened, smiling like she always did. Even though I had insinuated that I was related to the incident, she didn't look at me as though she were looking at something dirty.
今度話すよ。
待ってるね。
じゃあ、早く行きな。
Rena gave me a slight bow and trotted away, leaving me alone with Oishi-san, who walked over.
どうもどうも。
Domo domo, mate.
お帰りなさい、前原さん。
どうも。
ご家族はお留守みたいですね。
Were you looking for them or for me?
いやはや困っていたんですよ。
You came all the way to my house? Why? I could only thank my good fortune that my parents were absent. Since neither of them was around at this hour, they probably would be back late.
親父の仕事の関係で出かけてるんだと思います。帰りは遅いと思いますよ。
そうですか。
Unless they were the next two who disappeared.
それは好都合です。親御さんに変な思いをさせずに済みます。
Oishi-san pushed my back, prompting me to walk. What the fuck? It seemed like he wanted me to get in the car.
警察に連行するんですか？
I wasn't the culprit, but I was the cause of everything. It wouldn't be weird if he wanted to investigate me. That kind of gave me a resigned feeling.
いえ、立ち話もなんですから、車の中でお話ししようってだけですよ。
So I'm not under arrest.
さあ、どうぞどうぞ。
It's a beautiful day. Let's talk outside the car. He opened the back door and urged me inside. If I got in, I wouldn't have a very easy time getting out. If I said no, however, then this man might really handcuff me and take me away. Take me away, motherfucker. I couldn't refuse. I could only accept in good grace. The inside of the car had been cooled too much. The inside of the car had been cooled too much by the air conditioner, and there was a rusty smell coming from the filter, which must have been cleaned only rarely.
ありゃ、冷えすぎます？切りましょうか。
He turned off the car engine and suddenly it became quiet, and the voices of Higurashi, with all their cool loneliness, snuck inside. There it is. Can you hear it? Can you hear the quaquas? There they are. It sounded to me like a chorus of voices lamenting my exorbitant punishment for having harbored such foolish curiosity. For a few moments, while listening to those voices, I myself lamented the days that had been twisted and distorted since that night. Oishi-san, as if waiting for me to voluntarily begin talking, lit a cigarette and listened to the Higurashi. The silence became deafening, and I was the one who folded first.
捜査の方はどうなってるんですか？
捜査何のですか？最近はいっぱいありすぎてどれのことやら。
全部です。
いいですよ。本当は報道管制の敷かれた秘密捜査なんですが、あなたには特別に聞かせてあげましょう。じゃあ最初の事件からいきます。
The freak death of Tomitake-san and Takano-san on the night of Watanagashi.
こっちはお恥ずかしいかな。さっぱり進展なしです。
How could this be?
まずは富武さん、集団で暴行を受けた形跡はあるのですが、自分の喉をかき破るなんて異常な死に方の説明がつかないんです。何らかの薬物中毒を疑っているんですが。
高野さんはどんな感じなんです？
同じくさっぱりです。
But no handprints on the oil drum?
焼死死体は検視が非常に困難でして、首を絞められた後にガソリンをかけられたんじゃないかと見ています。管轄がお隣の県警さんでね。あちらさん、自分たちの縄張りの事件だからって。おっと、これは関係ない話ですね。
So the police didn't know anything other than the fact that the victims died inexplicably.
ですが、犯行時間はおおむねお祭りが終わった直後だろうと見ています。高野さんの方はちょっとあやふやですが、富武さんとほぼ同じ時刻に殺害され、山中に遺棄されたと考えるのが妥当でしょうな。
どうしてわざわざ遠くの山まで死体を運んだんでしょう？富武さんも同じように遠くへ運べばよかったのに。
ありゃ、前原さん、あなたなかなかどうして鋭いですね。もちろん私もそこは注目すべき点だと思っていますよ。他にもいくつか不審点はありますが、まあ現時点でお話しできるのは。
村長さんの方はどうですか？何か手がかりはありましたか？
Having exhausted that topic, I changed the subject. Otherwise, he might turn the conversation on me.
失踪された一日の足取りを調べました。手がかりになるようなものは見つかりませんでしたが、一応お話ししましょうか。
The mayor, Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Apparently, he was suffering from severe hemorrhoids.
古い生まれの方って非常にプライドが高いんですよね。それで村長さん、誰にも内緒で鹿骨市内にある大学病院の肛門科に通われていたんです。失踪当日、村長さんは診察の予約が取ってあったんで、朝一で出かけられました。
Even I knew that big hospitals like university hospitals had a really long waiting time. Apparently, people will get in line hours beforehand, even if they had an appointment.
診察が終わったのは午後1時頃です。その後、病院内のレストランで軽食を取られ、雑誌を読みながら時間を潰されました。この辺りのことは、自宅にあったお財布の中のレシートで分かってます。
There was nothing suspicious at all about that.
その日は夕方から神社の集会場で会合の予定があったんです。それで余裕を持ってお帰りになるはずだったんですが、途中電車で人身事故がありましてね。
Oh, he took the train, did he?
どうもそれで足止めを食ってしまったらしく、家に着いたのは会合の時間の直前でした。ご家族が大慌てで神社の集会場に出かけていく村長さんを目撃しています。
会合ってのは何だったんですか？確かその会合の帰り道に失踪してるんですよね。
会合は御三家と町会の主要役員が集まってのものでした。今年も起こってしまった連続開始事件の対応について協議したものと思われます。
So then, on his way home, the old man who had treated Shion like his own daughter, he was a dependable person who would encourage Shion whenever she felt pressured by anxiety, and yet, Shion's painful voice struck me right in the heart.
あれ？
どうなさいました？
I was taken aback by how strange my own voice sounded. What was it that just surprised me? I squeezed my head with my hands to try and drag back out what I had only realized for a split second. Remember, Keiichi Maibara, you just realized something. Something important. Wait, the night of Watanagashi. What happened? If you are going to tell me that Shion was Mion, then I will not be super pleased. That was when everything started. That night, Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. The next morning, word of the incident had spread throughout Hinamizawa. They planned to talk about it during the evening meeting. The mayor, however, had an appointment at the hospital, and as planned, he went there without telling his family. He got a checkup at the hospital. Ate something. And then, there was an unexpected delay on his train ride back. When he returned, the meeting was already about to start. The mayor changed clothes, got on his bicycle, and hurried to the assembly hall at the shrine as fast as he could. From when he heard about the incident on the night of Watanagashi until when he showed up in the assembly hall, everything he was doing that day was done in secret. During that time, nobody found out that he went to the hospital alone, he ate alone, and he got on the train alone. That all meant that he had absolutely no contact with anyone else. You couldn't have even called him on the phone. Okay, but what does that mean, Keiichi Maibara? Why does that matter, Keiichi Maibara? Oh.
ケイちゃん、私、どうしよ
どうした
When the fuck did you tell the mayor about your confession?
話せよ。俺たちの間で隠し事はなしだろ。
う。私、君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
I told him everything. I told old man Kimiyoshi everything.
村長さんに、私、あの晩、最後でに忍び込んだこと、打ち明けたんです。誰かにそれを見られてて、私たちを狙っている人がいるって。
ああ、それで
君吉のおじいちゃん、怒らなかった。そして、にっこり笑って、しおちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら、鬼隠しになんかなるものかって、本当に、笑いながら、任せなさいって。
Sweat burst out of my body like bullets. They became one long strand and slid down from my forehead to my nose and fell. Impressive, considering the air-conditioned car. So then, what does it mean? Hey Keiichi Maibara, no more playing dumb. When did she tell him? Shion said she learned of the incident from a phone call her father had made that morning. The mayor had left the house first thing in the morning for his appointment at the hospital. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. Nobody knew about him going to the university hospital. Furthermore, his train ride back to his house was delayed by an accident. As soon as he got home, he rushed out to the assembly hall. Then, the meeting at the assembly hall began and continued until it was dark out. Then, everyone left. Nobody saw him after the meeting was over. He just disappeared. Which meant, drawing blanks here, fam.
前原さん、大丈夫ですか？ やっぱり暑いんならクーラー入れますよ。
Another part of me was messing with my thoughts, demanding that I didn't think any further than that. My head was pounding violently, and the fluids packed inside it all blended together until nothing made sense. It was just about to settle, yet it had been smashed and melted in the blink of an eye, no longer able to retain its shape.
前原さん、もしもし。
はい。
Oishi-san lit yet another cigarette. There was yet another cigarette butt placed in the ashtray. Was it displaying the passage of time? Had my thoughts been frozen over for that long?
私、知ってる限りのことを話したつもりです。
I'm sorry, mate. I blanked out. Can you retell me everything?
お返しに、今度は前原さんの話を聞かせてもらってもいいですよね。
My mind had become a gigantic oozing mess. My brain felt like it had been totally minced by the blades of a blender, and I couldn't think.
ほらほら、また黙り込む。もし誤解があるようなら先に解いておきたいんですがね。私は別にあなたが犯人だなんて思っちゃいないんです。
But it's not completely off the table, is it? Oishi-san gave his best attempt at an adult
あ
smile.
の晩、あなたたち4人が西宮殿に忍び込んだことは知っています。次の日にはもう村の知る人は誰でも知る噂になってましたからね。それ自体は不法侵入として問われるべきことですが、問題はそれじゃない。
Trespassing? I mean, well, you're not gonna let me off with a slap on the wrist here. You said it was punishable by death, wasn't it?
そこで何があったかなんです。
Okay.
忍び込んだ人間が次々と犠牲になるような何があったのか。
何もなかったです。
Hey, come on, dog. As soon as I said it, I regretted confirming my presence there, but I knew it didn't matter
本
anymore.
当に何もなかったんですか？
Tell him.
だって現にこうして中に入った人たちが次々と犠牲になってるんですよ。しかも扉の鍵を付け替えた村長やリカさんまで犠牲に。
We don't know that about Rika-chan.
それだけの事態を引き起こす何があの中にあったんです？
I was far too tired to keep quiet about this. Perhaps that was Oishi-san's goal all along, but again, that didn't matter
大
anymore.
昔に使った拷問道具がたくさんしまってありました。それを高野さんたちと見て回りました。
本当にそれだけ？
Yes.
本当にそれだけです。
口封じをされるようなとんでもないものが隠してあったんじゃないですか？
Like what?
例えば覚醒剤の山とか
Psychoactive drugs?
消しの秘密工場があったとか、
Okay, what the fuck is Poppy Dog?
あるいはソ連か中国あたりの拳銃が山ほど積まれていたと。不審な木箱やコンテナが山積みされてませんでしたか？
There was nothing as exaggerated as what Oishi-san was hoping for, but it was dark. I felt in a way there were plenty of terrible things hidden in there. From the perspective of someone who viewed the storehouse as sacred, whether or not I thought I had seen some crazy things in there didn't matter in the slightest. The four of us broke the taboo. Punish us. Period. That should have been what happened.
あの西宮殿に何か秘密があるんじゃないかと思って捜査令状を請求したんですがね。
And then you got cussed out by that Yakuza.
もう空前絶後の妨害工作がありまして、信仰の対象に対する侮辱であり、憲法で定めた信仰の自由をなんたらかんたら、いやもう、だから実際に入ったあなたに聞くほかはなかったんですよ。
本当に古い錆びて埃をかぶった拷問道具しかなかったです。他に目立つものなんて何もなかったです。
では富武さんたちが殺されたのは禁忌を破ったからという制裁だけなんですかね？
You tell me. I didn't have an answer for the only part.
もういちいち隠しませんけどね。
About fucking time. Put the cards on the table, bitch.
あなただけが 今日まで被害を免れてるんです。
What happened to Shion?
あなた以外は全員が消えたのに、
Wait!
あなただけが無事なんです。
Stop!
あなたが無事で、あなた以外が被害に遭う。どんな違いがあったのか、それが知りたいんです。
I had Rika-chan on my side. That's the difference. There was something wrong with what Oishi-san was saying. Here we go. He's gonna need about 5 fucking sentences to fucking tie this one together. Peep game. You alone. You alone. What?
ちょっと待ってください。あなただけがってどういう意味ですか？
That's 5, right? Or do you count the weight as 1?
ですから、あなただけが最後の生き残りなんじゃないですか。
Have you confirmed the body of Shion?
大宮殿に忍び込んだコソ泥4人組の
The only one left alive. Hold on. Shion was
あの
still...
晩に富武二郎さんと高野美代さんが死に、翌日園崎紫音さんが失踪しました。
I'm sorry, what?
あなただけが無事に今日までを過ごしてるんです。なぜあなただけなのか、私はそれが知りたいと言ってるんです。
シオンが失踪したって？そんなバカな！
I unintentionally raised my voice, but I didn't care about that. Tomitake-san died, Takano-san died, and Shion disappeared? When did she disappear? What is this guy talking about?
ありゃ？特にご存知だったとばかり。
そんなのは初めて聞いた。シオンが失踪した？いつ？
遡ると綿流の次の日に失踪していたことになります。
That doesn't add up though. Unless it was Mion calling us. Going back a bit. Stop saying stuff I don't understand.
園崎紫音さんはその日の気分で親類の家を泊まり歩いたりしますので、所在不明が当たり前なんですよ。学校も気分一つでよく休みますしね。先生も困り果ててました。
そんなことは聞いてない。シオンはいつ失踪したかって聞いてるんだ。
ですから綿流の次の日です。
The fluids in my body all reversed direction. I lost my sense of balance, and everything I could see started to warp and twist out of shape. I simply couldn't endure it. Hang on. Shion had already disappeared? Then, that night, that call, that phone call, who was that? She called me every night. She encouraged me. We vowed that we would do our best to live on and not be erased. Yes, that should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion.
学校は平気で休むし、それを自宅に知らせても取り合ってもらえないから、学校もいちいち電話しない。そんなこんなで、彼女が失踪したことに気づくのに、だいぶ時間がかかったんですよ。
I felt a stabbing pain like needles were being pushed into every pore of my body. It started on my back and began spreading throughout the rest of me. When it had completely covered the surface of my skin, it began to worm its way inside my stomach as well.
ほら、覚えてませんか？綿流の次の日に、私たち図書館でお会いしたでしょう。あの時、シオンさんもいましたよね。あれが最後の目撃なんです。あの後、彼女の所在は確認されてないんです。
そんなバカな。
That day, Oishi-san had only caught me, and Shion bounded away, lying that she needed to go to work. Bounced away or bounded away? What? Didn't she call me that night?
エンジェルモートっていうファミレスのバイトですよね。
Yeah?
あの日から無断欠勤です。今日に至るまで全てを無断欠勤してるんです。お店の人も連絡を取ろうにも取れず困りきってましたよ。
そんなバカな。
状況証拠だけですがね。 図書館でお別れしてからバイト先に向かうまで、この間に失踪したと考えるのが妥当でしょうね。
Right after Shion ran away without me?
ご存知なかったみたいですね。なら先に話せばもっと話が早かったかな。
Every single character in this fucking game has a communication issue, fam.
もうこれでご理解いただけたでしょ。あとはあなただけなんです。あなただけが西宮殿に忍び込んだ4人の生き残りなんです。
It couldn't be. It just couldn't be.
次に何か起こるとすれば、それはあなたなんです。
Fam, I'm gonna need you to put me in protective custody. It better be better than the one that Tekashi 69 got.
前原さん、どうかご理解を。
It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Shion had already disappeared? That couldn't be. It couldn't be. I talked to her the day before yesterday. I talked to her last night. She was going to call me again today. That was Shion on the phone. It was from Shion.
シオンさんはとっくに失踪してるんです。次はあなたなんですよ。
Who the fuck was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights?
そんなわかんない。
I think this motherfucker's taking some psychoactive stimulants, sir. I lay down on the couch and stayed there dazed for a while. My mind was completely blank. I couldn't think about anything for more than a few seconds. There was another note in my house saying that mom and dad would be home late and that I should have some ramen or something for dinner. I could make it whenever I got hungry, but I had no appetite, so I just stared blankly at the ceiling without eating anything. The hands of the clock were already pointing at 10. Would I get another phone call like that today? Even though Shion had already disappeared? Would she still call me? Where were they calling me from and who were they? The more I thought about it, the more I started to tremble. I even thought about just disconnecting the phone line. If I had been thinking a little less logically, I really would have done it too. Hold on, Keiichi Maibara. You can turn this to your advantage. That person might call you again, believing that you're talking to Shion. You were being played like a fiddle up to this point. You are in a prime position to turn the tables on them. Oishi-san admitted it himself, didn't he? That Shion went missing a lot. Hey man, couldn't you just have gone to relatives that Oishi-san didn't know about and have been there ever since? Shion and I were both being targeted by somebody, so it wouldn't be strange to think that she went somewhere she usually didn't in order to hide. That must have been why Oishi-san couldn't locate her and why he labeled her a disappearance. Yeah, that had to be it. No, that can't be it. She had to make an appearance at the restaurant, man. Come on, stop. Then, my right hand moved of its own volition and slapped me on the cheek. You dumb bitch! Its cold sting let me calm down a little bit.
都合よく考えすぎるなよ、前原圭一。
I knew I didn't want to admit she had disappeared. Admitting it would mean that something terrifying was definitely happening. I just needed to figure out whether Shion was the one on the phone or not. Would I ask her if she was actually Shion? That seemed like an incredibly absurd thing to do.
逃げるな、圭一。
If the person on the other end still believed that I thought she was Shion, then that gave me a tiny advantage. Casually, completely casually, I would listen to what she had to say. And to fend her off. I would tear the skin off the monster. It would definitely be really scary for me. However, as the last survivor of the people who went into the storehouse that night, this was my duty to perform. Still then, who would call me and pretend to be Shion? Fam, please. I may have only heard her over the phone, but her voice shouldn't be that easy to replicate. You're wasting bars right now, Keiichi Maibara. Shut the fuck up. Finally. At this point, seriously, after all this time, all those little things that didn't quite make sense about Mion until now overwhelmed my mind. Like being questioned about sneaking into the ritual storehouse and how she shook the ladder while spouting curses. Who else? Who else could have... Why though? Why would Mion? I thought back to the things about the Sonozaki family that I had heard from Oishi-san and Shion. Mion was always entangled in the incidents, in a position where she was omnipotent. Some of that information included things that Shion had told me after she disappeared. I madly scratched up my head. Courage. Give me courage. Just a little bit of courage to pick up the phone. I know it will ring tonight. It would be so easy to run away. That, though, would be the same as making it easy for them to erase me. I can't run. I must stand up and face it. After all, the next sacrifice would definitely be me. I was unsure Shion would use tricky words to try and trap me. Be careful. Be careful. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. I'm scared and I don't want to do this. At that point, it rang. The phone rang, and I didn't know where the call was coming from. Shion had disappeared. Disappeared a long time ago. Disappeared the night after Watanagashi. Yet, until today, she had been calling me like nothing happened. Now again, tonight. The people that had disappeared, their corpses simply haven't been found. I really didn't think they were alive. So if it really was Shion on the other end, did that mean that she was calling me from another world? Shut the fuck up, Keiichi Maibara. Of course that couldn't be. A living being was calling me, pretending to be Shion. Shion was long gone, and yet, as though she were alive and well, the phone continued its incessant ringing. I didn't want to pick it up if I didn't have to. I had just concluded, though, that not doing so wouldn't solve anything. Then what would I do after I answered it? Would I immediately declare that she wasn't Shion and ask who she was? No. Alternatively, would I pretend that I was still fooled and try to grab her by the tail?
それが一番安全かもしれないよな。
What I was most afraid of was what the person on the phone would do when she realized I knew she wasn't Shion. However, as long as I continued to let her think I was fooled, she wouldn't do anything extreme, right? If I make sure to be careful, then that should be the safest option. I've made up my mind. I'll answer the phone. Once I do that, I'll talk to her as if nothing happened. That wasn't all I would do this time though. I would scope her out. Who was she? What was she thinking? And what was she after? Why was she doing this? Was she really the one who killed Tomitake-san and Takano-san? What happened to the mayor? What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko-chan? I reached out for the receiver, my arm trembling. There were too many things I wanted to know, too many things I wanted to ask. I was scared. I should start by picking up the phone. Pick it up, Keiichi. Stop being a bitch, Keiichi.
もしもし。
Oh, how relieved I would have been if it hadn't been a call from Shion.
ケイちゃんですか？私です。シオンです。
My momentary convenient and above all fleeting prediction was ripped into 1,000 pieces. I couldn't help shaking at this point. Get ready for
電
this.
話、なかなか出なかったんで、お留守かと思って切ろうとしてたんですよ。
ああ、ごめん。ちょっとお風呂に入っててさ。
それでも、
ご家族の方が電話を取りませんか？
No. Don't say that they're gone. Just say no.
ひょっとして、ケイちゃんの家、今ご両親はお留守なんですか？
I failed. I let her in on a fatal piece of information that I was currently the only one at my house.
いや別に留守ってわけじゃ。そんなことより聞いたか、リカちゃんとサトコの件。
いえ、結局、あの後どうなったんですか？
What do you mean what happened after that?
見つかったんですか？
ああ、
What?
見つからなかった。
ケイちゃん、どうか気を落とさないで。
If Oyster-san hadn't let me know, then I might have allowed myself to shed a tear or two at Shion's considerate words. Instead, now that it had come to this, I couldn't take her words at face value. This person, on the other end of the receiver, the more perfect as Shion they were, the more my blood curdled in fear.
リカちゃんとサトコはさらわれたんだよな。
はい、それは間違いないでしょうね。
Just how cruel and grave a meaning did those words hold? Their weight astonished me, and then a moment later I was overcome with numbness and felt like I would pass out. I had asked if Rika-chan and Satoko had been kidnapped. Shion, in turn, had answered that there wasn't much doubt. I know, bitch, I was there. That cruel meaning behind her
リカ
words.
ちゃんとサトコは、いや、ごめん。村長さんはさらわれてどうなったと思う？まだ生きてるんだろうか？
What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko after they were kidnapped? That's what I wanted to ask, but I frantically caught myself. What if she had given that question a terrifying response in such a way to sound like it had nothing to do with her? I was scared of that, so I immediately brought up the mayor. That said, however,
殺されちゃったんだと思います。
おいおい、そんなにあっさり。
人間をさらって、その状態を維持するのってとても大変なことだと思います。人質にするんでもない限り、ヨンが済んだら殺しちゃうのが一番合理的じゃないかと。
the world started to bend so much I almost lost my balance. The scenery in my eyes whirled around and around like the hands of a clock, and tried to swallow me whole from below. I frantically put a hand on the wall to support myself. A moment later, a severe nausea welled up within me. How was she saying such things so lightly?
殺しちゃうって、そんなにあっさり。
That one is new. I like it.
人の命を何だと思ってやがるんだ。
恐ろしいことだとは思いますが、多分そうではないかと。
If the mayor was killed, then did that mean the same thing had happened to Rika-chan and Satoko-chan? No, that couldn't. They weren't some random old man. It was Rika-chan. It was Satoko-chan. They couldn't kill them so readily.
リカちゃまとサトコちゃんも同じだと思った方がいいでしょうね。
I'm getting some Final Fantasy tune vibes from this song. Those were the words I wanted to hear the least, and I fought them back with a scream of my own. Even though it wouldn't change anything, I still couldn't help but scream. This time, the tears flowed. I had been confronted with the most horrific outcome that I had been trying to avoid considering ever since last night, and I cried. There was no longer any doubt that this was my fault. I killed them. I killed Rika-chan and Satoko-chan. I succumbed to the weakness of my own heart and confessed everything to Rika-chan. That's why they were killed. That meant I killed them. When Rika-chan looked at me with those innocent eyes, if only I hadn't given in. Even my voice gave out, and yet still, I cried. And cried.
ケイちゃん、どうか気を確かに。
Rika-chan and Satoko, they have been killed. We couldn't even find their remains. I would never be allowed to even apologize to their faces. If that was to be my punishment, then how brutal a punishment it was. I think Shion tried to comfort me, but I didn't hear any of it.
そんなことでどうするんですか？
Huh?
次に狙われるのは確実に私かケイちゃんなんですよ。お願いですから、しっかりしてください。お願いします。お願いしますから。
Shion was shouting, imploring me with a voice that sounded like tears were in her eyes. However, I was coming to hate the sound of that voice more and more. Did Shion kill them? I had no doubts that this person killed them. Why?
どうしてだよ。どうして人をさらったり殺したりするんだよ。たたりだかなんだか知らないが、人の命ってのはそんなに安いのかよ。あっさり消したり殺したり。
ええ、全くです。悪魔ですよね。
I felt like crushing the receiver in my hand. How long did this person plan on acting like it was someone else's problem? There was magma in the pit of my stomach, and it felt like it was going to erupt at any moment.
なあ、シオン、教えてくれ。どうしてこのひなみ沢では綿流しの夜に人が死ななければならないこと。
それは
もうダム計画との戦いは終わったんだぞ。なのにどうしてまだたたり足りないんだ。どうしてだよ。どうして。理由があるなら言ってみろよ。
I was incoherent at this point. My emotions had broken through the dam inside of me, rushing forth, and I couldn't stop them. These were not simple questions. This was an interrogation. Shion herself hadn't realized it yet. It was just too funny. It was so funny that I couldn't stop
ケイ
crying.
ちゃんの気持ち、私もよくわかります。ダム闘争はとっくの昔に終わったんです。なのに毎年お社様のたたりという名の殺人と失踪が繰り返されている。なぜ？どうしてなんですか？全然関係ない人もいた。たたられるのに不相応な人だっていたのに、どうして？どうして？
それを俺が聞いてるんだ。
それを私だって知りたいんですよ。
Both our ragged breaths could be heard over the
いい
phone.
ですか？お社様のたたりなんて非現実的なものは初めから存在しません。ケイちゃんの言う通り、村の何者かがお社様のたたりというもっともらしい大義名分を利用して、奴らは狡猾でした。たたりを都合よく利用して村の旧敵を毎年2人ずつ消し去るシステムを構築していったんです。そしてこのシステムで今年は高野さんたちが殺された。
じゃあ2人で十分じゃねえかよ。どうして村長やリカちゃんやサトコまで殺されなくちゃならないんだよ。それに俺は過去のことは今さらどうでもいいんだ。リカちゃんとサトコがなぜ殺されなくちゃならなかったのか。どうしてなんだ。サトコには打ち上げですらないんだぞ。どうしてサトコまで。どうしてなんだ。
A silence fell between us. Shion didn't answer for a
ケ
while.
イちゃん、もういじめないでください。
Fuck no. A sob. Was Shion crying?
私だって何が何だかわからないんです。最後殿に忍び込んだあの晩から全てが変わってしまった。
It was the same for me. As I listened to Shion's bitter weeping, I could feel my agitation
あの
subsiding.
晩、高野さんたちが死んだと聞き、耳を疑いました。そしてすぐに気づいたんです。今度は自分が狙われる立場になったんだって。忍び込んだのは私とケイちゃんだけが都合よく許してもらえるわけがない。
Ask her to recall the story that Tomitake-san or Takano-san told us in the storehouse.
そう思った時、それがどれだけ心細くて恐ろしいことだったか、ケイちゃんにはわかりますよね。
There was nothing fake about her words. She had even understood how I felt.
だから私、君吉のおじいちゃんに打ち明けたんです。
This sounds more like a test. She's trying to protect us. If anything.
私は、みんなが入ってはいけないという最後伝に、いけないことだとは分かっていましたが、本当に面白半分な気持ち、一緒に入った高野さんたちは、その後すぐに殺されてしまいました。あの日から、いつ私も襲われるのではないかと、君吉のおじいちゃんしか助けてくれる人がいません。だからおじいちゃん、助けてって。君吉のおじいちゃん、怒らなかった。そして、にっこり笑って、しおんちゃんがちゃんと反省してるなら、鬼隠しになんかなるものかって、本当に、笑いながら、任せなさいって。
Shion cried bitterly, recalling the beloved mayor's death. It was such a sad voice that none who heard it could prevent it from twisting their hearts. Again, Did I let my emotions take over and go off at her? Shion was in the same situation as me. She should have been my one and only comrade. Thump. My heart pounded. My other self, deep within my mind, whispered to me, "Don't forget Keiichi Maibara. Don't forget about the mayor on the morning after Watanagashi." He was told of Takano-san and Tomitake-san's death over the phone and committed to a meeting that evening. He went to a hospital appointment. He didn't tell his family. He had only made it back just in time for the meeting. He went straight to the assembly hall. That's what Oishi-san said.
いつ村長に打ち明けたんだよ。ごめんな、シオン。悲しい気持ちのところに追い打ちをかけるようで、シオンは打ち明けたんだよな。君吉のおじいちゃん、つまり村長に。
はい。
いつ打ち明けたんだよ。
I had begun to get scared of saying it aloud after hearing her sad voice. I wasn't saying it was contradictory though. Besides, if there was a contradiction, then I wanted Shion to explain it to me.
村長さんは重い痔を患ってて、病院にかかっていたという話は知ってるか？
Oh shit.
ケイちゃん、それが何か？
答えてくれ。知らないなら知らないと答えればいい。
There was a momentary silence. Then, after stammering a few times, she replied.
痔だったのは知ってます。座るときとか辛そうでしたから。
病院に通ってたんだ。どこの病院かは知ってるよな。
ごめんなさい。それはちょっと知りませんけど。でも、ケイちゃん、それが一体何の
Shion didn't know what hospital the mayor went to. That meant it was impossible for her to have gone all the way to the hospital to confess everything. Since she didn't know his destination, then she obviously couldn't have seen him on the train either. If there was any other chance for her to contact him, it would have been right after he came to Hinamizawa. The train, however, had been delayed, and he only got back right before the meeting was about to start. He didn't have time. There wouldn't have been enough time for him to listen to Shion spill the beans.
単刀直入に聞きたいんだ。シオンはいつ村長に打ち明けたんだ？どこで？いつ？大雑把でいいから教えてほしいんだ。
ケイちゃん、なんでそんなことを
Her sob pierced into my ears. I was taken by the illusion that I was bullying her. Even so, I'll say it. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. Please prove to me that you're the real
あり
Shion.
えないんだよ。村長が失踪した日、朝から消えるまで、シオンには接触できる機会はありえないんだ。
そんな。
村長は朝一で誰にも内緒の大学病院へ一人で診察に出かけた。シオンは今この病院を知らないと言った。だから帰ってくるまで村長と接触することはできないはずだ。そうだろう。帰りの電車が事故で遅れたので自宅に帰ってきたのは会合の始まる直前だった。つまり会合が始まるまでの時間にも打ち明ける時間的余裕はないんだ。
I heard Shion repeating her weak sobs. That sort of feminine voice automatically ripped into my heart. It was so painful for me to say
シ
it.
オンも一緒に会合に出たのか？そして会合の席上で打ち明けたのか？ここで打ち明けなきゃもう時間がないもんな。村長は帰宅途中で失踪するんだから。
Shion went to the meeting, didn't she? Did she or didn't she? The question was so simple to answer, but she didn't give me an immediate response.
実は会合にで。
あの日シオンが行くと言ったバイトすら君は欠勤してるんだ。もっと端的に言おう。君は俺と一緒に行った図書館以降誰にも目撃されていない。
ケイちゃん、
園崎シオンは
Let her finish, man.
綿流しの翌日に失踪したんだ。
The other end fell silent as the grave. It was so quiet that it was like the phone cord had been cut. I couldn't sense anyone there.
大石さんは君がすでに失踪していると言っているんだ。でもシオンはこうして毎晩俺に電話をかけてきてくれただろ。
Shion's sobs were torturing me. Stop calling her that. Still, I'm pretty sure I haven't said anything
頼
wrong.
むシオン、俺が言ったことが間違ってるならそうだと言ってくれ。シオン頼むから。シオン、お前は村長に会ってなんかないんだ。もし会ったとしたなら。
If Shion ever did have the chance to meet with the mayor on that day, then that meant
村長が会合を終えた後、すなわち失踪する直前、もしくは失踪してからしかありえないんだ。
or she was directly responsible for the kidnapping. Oh my god! Beep, beep, went the dial tone. Oh, you're in for it now, brother. You are in for it now, brother. I stood there dazed for a while until I realized she had hung up on me. It's time to call Oishi-san. Immediately. What? You can't end it there! You did! Oh, I can't believe you've done this. The problem with twins. This is not limited to just Hinamizawa, but Onigafuchi village especially. The three families detested giving birth to twins as successors. The long-term dictatorship built on the precarious balance of the three families must have feared collapsing under the weight of internal strife from things like family quarrels. According to the literature, if twins were born, then they had to be culled. With that, the very fact that both Sonozaki family's successor, Mion Sonozaki and her twin Shion, are alive is in itself deeply interesting. Perhaps the current leader, Oryo, is sympathetic. Of course, the twins were not cared for equally, and as the heir, Mion received special treatment. From what I've heard, despite the two of them looking exactly the same on the outside, the talent lies solely with Mion. My own observations of the two of them don't leave me with that impression. Tradition dictates that the leader of the Sonozaki family is said to inherit a demon, and they tattoo a magnificent one onto his or her back. Interesting. In accordance with the tradition, however, there is an extremely high possibility that Mion has such a tattoo on her back. From what I've heard, there is apparently a magnificent demon tattooed on Oryo's back as well. Then I wonder what sort of tattoo belongs to the heir Mion. I really want to see her back. Interesting. Reserved for the day, Suzu Mahjong Parlor. Clatter, clatter.
あんりゃクラちゃん、あんたが一番遅いよ。
じゃあお母さん、すみませんね。
Oishi handed over a convenience store bag with a carton of cigarettes in it to the old lady who owned the mahjong parlor, and she shrewdly made herself scarce. She was used to this by now.
おいさん、お疲れ様っす。
なんだ、みんな真面目に待ってたんですか？さんまでもやってりゃよかったのに。
Everyone sitting at the mahjong tables in the small parlor were Oishi's subordinates, but there were no tiles laid out anywhere.
皆さん、連日の不眠不休の捜査、本当にお疲れ様です。
うっす。
Energetic responses filled the parlor. Already, it had lost the atmosphere of a place of entertainment.
状況は芳しくありません。所長が園崎系議員の恫喝に屈したそうです。近日中に高野殺しはお隣の県警さんに譲り、村長たちの失踪は行方不明扱いで生活課に委ねるようです。
That damn upstart chief. The veterans in the room cursed him.
請求した令状もすべて却下されました。課長からは園崎家界隈には近づくなとまで言われています。いやいや困ったもんです。ちなみに私には来週から警視庁への研修命令が出るそうです。その後は余った有給を伊豆で消化しろとまで言われています。
Told to take a paid vacation. Yeah, that's telling.
いや、そういうのも悪くないですね。
He heard a few dry laughs. It wasn't anything to laugh about, but that was all they could do.
いつもそうですが、事件と車のキーの閉じ込めはよく似ています。車なら修理業者を呼んで扉をこじ開ける。事件なら、熊ちゃん、図面を。
Kumagai flipped over the whiteboard. On the back was a map of the Sonozaki premises made with magnets.
私もずーっとこの商売をやってます。勘には自信があるつもりですがね。退職金が欲しい方は、私が10数える間に席を外してください。
Oishi-san began to count to 10, and everyone counted along with him. It was their famous 10-count resolution.
10!
あ
あ、誰も出てかないよ。皆さん、ご家族はもっと大切にしてくださいよ。
Everybody laughed uproariously, cheering things up.
各自、手元の資料を確認。監視カメラの所在と資格を叩き込んでください。熊ちゃんは指揮者で待機。非常時は私に代わって指揮をお願いしますよ。小宮山君は突入 A 班、敦君は突入 B 班を指揮。監視班は1から8まで所定の位置で監視を。ボンチ君はタイムテーブルを厳守。署に怪しまれないようローテを管理してください。さて、待機中の班が一番大仕事ですよ。課長に私の所在を聞かれたらとぼけてください。ゲストのエスコート役は私がやります。 きっと会場へ連れて行きますので、皆さん気長に待っててください。
落ちるっすかね、前原圭一は。
私の見たところじゃ、明日明後日には行けそうですよ。
Well, alright. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's time to call it an episode. Next episode? I can't see there being many more chapters left of chapter 2. Anyway, we're gonna deal with that starting from next episode, alright? This has been your boy Karagol Gaming. I'm out of here. Love y'all and deuces.